hall was silent. 1,000 alien eyes stared forward, but no one dared to speak. The alien council sat high on their silver thrones, faces hidden behind smooth, shining masks. The air felt heavy, almost too heavy to breathe, somewhere deep. In the shadows, a translator machine hummed softly, ready to record every word. But when the council leader leaned forward, his long fingers curling on the table, his voice was low and sharp. "This must never be spoken again," he said. The sound of his words seemed to make the air colder. From somewhere in the back, a small alien scribe repeated the sentence into the translator. The machine hesitated, then projected a strange sound into the room, a single word. The moment the word was heard, something strange happened. One alien dropped his datapad, his hands shaking. Another covered her ears as if the sound was painful. Several stood up and quickly left the chamber without permission. The word hung in the air for only a moment, but it was enough to make the entire council uneasy. Without another word, the council leader pressed a red button on the table. Translator's memory was erased, and the sound was deleted from the official record. "This word," the council leader said slowly, "is now banned. It will be erased from every archive, every device, and every mind that dares to remember it." His voice echoed across the chamber. "Anyone caught speaking, it will face exile or death." The rest of the council nodded silently. The order was final. No one would dare to speak it, or so they believed. Far away, on a rusted cargo ship drifting near the edge of human space, Captain Elias Vance sat in his small chair, drinking bitter coffee. His crew was small, 5 humans and 1 alien engineer, and their job was simple: find abandoned wrecks, strip them for parts, and sell whatever they could. But this time the wreck they had found was not on any map. It was an old relay station, half buried in asteroid dust. No lights, no signals, just a dead shell in space. The crew floated in, their boots clinking against the metal floor, like it's been dead for 100 years, one of them said, brushing frost off a control panel. But as they worked, the ship's systems suddenly came to life. For a single moment, a speaker crackled, static hissed. And then the word was clear, sharp, and unlike any language they knew. The sound was almost human, but not quite. Every alien listening in the room, the engineer included, froze. His eyes went wide and he dropped his tools. "Turn it off," he hissed. "Turn it off now." The humans looked at him in confusion. "It's just a word," said Vance, shrugging. "What's the big deal?" But the alien's voice shook as he spoke. "You don't understand. That word is forbidden. The council will come for you if you speak it." The humans laughed at first, but their smiles faded when the alien explained how dangerous it was. He told them about whispers in the galaxy, old stories of a name so feared that entire fleets would surrender upon hearing it. The council had tried to erase it from history, but some fragments survived, hidden in dead stations like this one. "It's not just a word," the alien said, looking around nervously. "It's a memory. And memories can be dangerous." Vance didn't believe him. If the council hated this word so much, he wanted to know why. He played the recording again, this time on his personal device. The sound filled the small cabin, bouncing off the metal walls. Something about it made his skin prickle, but not with fear, with curiosity. It felt powerful, important, like a secret meant only for humans. By the time they left the wreck, the alien engineer refused to stay on board. He took the escape pod, heading toward the nearest alien world. Duh! Humans didn't stop him. They were too busy repeating the strange word to themselves, trying to get the pronunciation exactly right. Each time they said it, they felt an odd sense of pride, as if they were part of something bigger. That night, Captain Vance sat alone. In his cabin, staring at the stars, he whispered the word again, letting it roll off his tongue. Somewhere far away, in a council chamber full of silver-masked rulers, a silent alarm was triggered. The location of the word's latest speaker was now known. Ships began to move. The hunt had begun. And yet, in the dark of space, on a small forgotten ship, a human captain smiled. He didn't know why the word scared the galaxy, but he was going to find out. When he did, he had a feeling the council would regret ever trying to hide. The cargo ship drifted through the silent dark, its engines humming low as it moved toward the next scavenging route. Most of the crew slept in their bunks, but Mark Jensen, the youngest of them, was wide awake. Couldn't stop thinking about the word. It kept echoing in his head, the strange rhythm of it, like a song you couldn't forget. He whispered it under his breath as he walked through the dim corridors. The sound seemed to stay in the air a second too long, as if the ship itself was listening. In the cargo bay, the shadows were deep and heavy. Rows of sealed crates sat in neat stacks, their surfaces frosted from the cold of space. Mark stepped between them, his boots making soft thuds on the metal floor. That was when he heard it. Faint, distant, but clear. The word only this time it wasn't in his head. It was coming from somewhere inside the cargo. His heart began to pound. He moved closer to one of the crates, pressing his ear against the cold metal. Sound was louder now, pulsing with an eerie rhythm. A faint light glowed from the seam of the crate, flickering in time with the syllables. For a moment, he thought about calling the captain, but something in him didn't want to share this yet. He grabbed a crowbar and pried the crate open, just enough to peek inside. The glow hit his face like a warm wave. Inside was some kind of device, old and covered in dust, yet still alive. Its surface shimmered faintly, symbols crawling like tiny living things. Every time it pulsed with light, the word echoed in the air. Mark's breath caught in his throat. He had no idea what this was, but he couldn't look away. Then the glow stopped. The device went completely dark. The silence in the bay was so complete that it felt wrong, like something had been cut out of the world. Mark slowly closed the crate, but as he stepped back, he realized the word was still in his mind. Louder now, clearer. He didn't need the device anymore, it was inside him. By the next day, the others noticed a change. Mark smiled more. He hummed under his breath. And when he spoke the word, the rest of the humans found themselves repeating it without even thinking. It became a private game among them, slipping it into sentences, saying it to each other in the mess hall, testing how it sounded in different tones. They didn't see the harm. It was just a word. But the alien engineer who had left them, he had not forgotten. His warning had reached the ears of the alien council, and now messages were spreading through hidden channels. The order was clear. Any human speaking the word was to be captured. A bounty was placed, not for killing, but for silence. The council feared something, though no one outside the chamber knew exactly what. 2 days later, at a small refueling station orbiting a frozen moon, the humans noticed something strange. Every alien in the station avoided them. Shops closed early. Conversations died when they walked past. Even the service drones rolled away from their path. Captain Vance caught one alien staring at them with wide, fearful eyes. "What's your problem?" he asked. The alien only whispered, marked, and hurried away. The humans didn't understand, or maybe they didn't care. The more the galaxy seemed to fear the word, the more they wanted to say it. It gave them a rush, a strange sense of control in a universe where humans were usually ignored. Vance decided he wanted answers. If this word had been banned for centuries, it had to mean something important, something powerful. That night, alone in his cabin, Vance replayed the old station recording, listening carefully to every detail. As the word rang out again, the lights in the room flickered. The ship's computer beeped and glitched for a moment before stabilizing. Vance leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing. This wasn't just history. The word could do things. Far away, the council prepared its enforcers. Silent, black-armored hunters who erased people from records as if they had never existed. They would board the human ship soon. They would take the crew. They would make sure the word was buried forever. But on the Argo Dawn, the crew sat around the mess table, laughing softly, speaking the forbidden sound over and over. It no longer felt like a secret. It felt like a weapon, and none of them had any idea just how dangerous it really was. The mining station floated above a red, dusty moon, its outer hull covered in layers of scorch marks and patchwork repairs. It was a noisy place. The constant rumble of drills, the hiss of steam, and the clang of machinery filled the air. Humans worked here alongside dozens of alien species, each trying to survive the harsh life at the edge of civilization. But on this particular day, the usual noise faded to an uneasy silence. Something was about to happen. Eli Torres, a human maintenance worker, stood in the middle of the station's central market. He had just been paid for a week's worth of dangerous repairs, and he was looking forward to a drink. But before he could even take a step toward the bar, a squad of alien guards appeared from the east corridor. They wore black armor marked with the symbol of the council, a silver circle with no center. Their boots hit the floor in perfect rhythm as they moved toward him. "Human," the lead guard barked. His voice was metallic, amplified through his helmet. Neil. Eli froze. The other humans in the market stopped what they were doing. Aliens backed away, watching from the safety of shadows. Eli had heard the rumors the council was hunting for marked humans. But he didn't expect them to come for him. "I said Neil," the guard repeated. For a moment, Eli considered obeying. But then, almost without thinking, the forbidden word slipped from his lips. He didn't shout it. He just said it calmly. Looking the guard straight in the eye, the effect was immediate. The guard's posture faltered. His hands twitched, and he stepped back as if the air around Eli had suddenly become dangerous. Another guard reached for his weapon, but his fingers froze halfway to the holster. The market went dead silent. A voice broke the stillness. "Say it again," someone whispered. Eli turned his head and saw another human, a miner with dust still on his clothes, staring at him. Eli repeated the word, this time a little louder. The miner smiled. Then he said it too. Within seconds, more voices joined in. To humans near the water pumps. "What?" Another group by the food stalls. The sound grew slow at first, then faster, merging into a steady rhythm. The aliens looked around in panic as the humans began chanting together. The word rolled through the station, like a wave. The metal walls seemed to carry the sound, making it louder and deeper. Alien customers dropped their goods and fled. The black armored guards shouted orders, but their voices were swallowed by the chant. A merchant tried to pull the emergency alarm, but the panel sparked and went dead the moment the word echoed near it, up in the station's control tower. Alien technicians frantically tried to block the sound from the intercom system, but every channel they switched to somehow picked up the chant. It was everywhere, in the docking bays, in the mining shafts, even in the ventilation systems. The station was no longer running on schedules or orders. It was running on the rhythm of the word. Eli could feel it vibrating in his chest now, as if something deep inside him had been waiting for this moment. The other humans looked the same, eyes bright, shoulders squared, standing taller than they had a minute ago.
Ow.
This wasn't just defiance. It felt like unity. Like they were all part of something far older and far greater than themselves. The guards finally tried to retreat, but the humans closed in, still chanting, their voices merging into a single, unstoppable roar. No one touched the guards, yet they stumbled back as if the sound itself was forcing them away. By the time the council's backup forces arrived, the black armored squad had already abandoned the station. The new troops tried to restore order, but it was too late. The humans weren't afraid anymore. The chant had spread to every corner of the mining station. No amount of shouting or threats could silence it. Far above the red moon, in the deep cold of space, a council warship received its report. The captain listened to the shaky voice of a retreating guard and felt a chill. "It has started," the guard whispered. "They're chanting the name again." The captain sent the message directly to the council. Within minutes, an emergency meeting was called. The word they had buried for centuries was alive once more, and this time, it was spreading faster than they could contain. The great chamber of the alien council was sealed tight, its walls lined with shimmering shields that blocked all outside signals. Inside, 12 masked figures sat around a long black table, their faces hidden but their tension obvious. The air was thick with unease. News had reached them that the forbidden word was no longer whispered in secret. It was being shouted in public. Entire human colonies were chanting it in markets, at spaceports, even over the open combs of starships. The sound was spreading like fire. High Chancellor Voro slammed a long, clawed hand on the table. We swore this would never happen again, he growled. We swore it would be erased. The other council members shifted in their seats, their robes rustling. One of them leaned forward. We underestimated the humans. We thought fear would silence them. It has only made them louder. What none of them knew was that someone was listening. High above the chamber, hidden in the shadowed scaffolding, a small drone floated silently. Its surface shimmered like the walls, making it invisible to the guards below. The drone's tiny lenses were fixed on the council table, recording everything. The drone belonged to a human journalist named Mara Keene. She had risked her life to sneak into the council's heavily guarded capital world. For weeks, she had been following whispers that the council's fear of the word had nothing to do with superstition. Tonight, she was going to find out why. She watched as the High Chancellor leaned close to the others, his voice dropping too. A low hiss. If they remember what it means, he said, the galaxy will burn again. Entire civilizations will fall. We will not survive another awakening. Mara's eyes widened. She had no idea what the word meant, but now she knew one thing: it wasn't just dangerous to the council, it was dangerous to their control over the galaxy. The meeting ended abruptly. The councilors filed out, their guards sealing the chamber behind them. Mara guided the drone back to her small ship, her fingers shaking. She transmitted the footage to a secure human network before she even left the planet's atmosphere. By the next day, the recording was everywhere. On human freighters and frontier towns. On massive orbital cities, people watched the council's masked leaders speak those words. Over and over, if they remember what it means, the galaxy will burn again. The reaction was immediate. Humans began chanting in the streets. Crowds gathered at ports and space stations. Protest banners appeared, some carrying the forbidden word in bold letters. Others with stylized images of a massive shadowed warship. It didn't matter that no one fully understood it. The mystery only fueled the fire. Alien authorities tried to disperse the gatherings. But each time they confronted a group of humans, the chant would begin, deep and rhythmic, shaking the air. On some worlds, alien police simply gave up and withdrew. On others, they resorted to violence. But the humans didn't back down. The sound carried on, echoing long after the streets had been cleared, in the hidden archives of the galaxy. Old historians stirred. Some had been forced into silence for decades, their research locked away by the council. Now they began to speak again, sending encrypted messages to human networks. They told the same story long ago. The word was not a curse, but a name. The name of a human warship so powerful, it had destroyed an entire alien empire in a single campaign. No one had seen it in centuries, but according to the legends, it had never been destroyed. On the bridge of his ship, Captain Elias Vance read the reports and felt a slow smile spread across his face. If the stories were true, then the warship was still out there. And if humans could find it, the council's grip on the galaxy would shatter. Somewhere in the deep, uncharted dark, a signal began to pulse. It was faint at first, barely detectable. But to those who knew the forbidden word, it sounded like a whisper calling them home. On the far edge of explored space, where stars were faint pinpricks and the dark between them seemed endless, a lonely listening post floated above a dead planet. Its crew of 3 bored alien technicians spent their days scanning for stray signals. Old distress calls, smuggler chatter, the usual nothingness of deep space. But tonight, the static on their monitors shifted. A low hum bled through the speakers, steady and strange. Then, in a deep metallic voice that made the walls tremble, "Duh," the forbidden word rolled out across the room. The technicians froze. One of them grabbed the COM switch, trying to shut it off, but the controls refused to respond. The word repeated, each time louder, each time deeper, as though something enormous was drawing closer. By the third repetition, the hum of the station's own system seemed to sync with it, vibrating in perfect rhythm. The oldest technician, his hands shaking, whispered, "It's awake." Within hours, the signal was picked up by long-range arrays across the galaxy. Alien fleets scrambled to track it. Orders were issued to the largest warships: find the source and destroy it before the humans do. But the humans had already heard it, and they were moving. Captain Elias Vance was one of the first to lock onto the signal. He played it through. "The ship's comes," letting the crew hear it. Every human aboard fell silent. Some looked afraid, but most smiled in that stubborn way only humans could. "That's not just a word anymore," Vance said quietly. "That's a call." Across human space, old rivalries dissolved overnight. Pirate captains and military admirals spoke on the same channels. Civilian freighters were repurposed into supply ships. Entire colonies pooled resources for the hunt. The chant of the forbidden word filled every human broadcast. Echoing through the void like a challenge, the Alien Council saw the danger immediately. This wasn't a few isolated troublemakers anymore. This was a movement. The Council's private fleets mobilized in force, sending black armored enforcers to blockade human systems. But humans didn't stop. They slipped past patrols in small, fast ships. They spread the signal to colonies the Council thought were unreachable. For weeks, the chase dragged on. Signal grew stronger, pulling both sides toward an uncharted region at the edge of the Perseus Rift, a place so far from trade routes that no one had reason to go there for centuries. But the closer they got, the more the alien fleets felt an unease they couldn't explain. Sensors began to pick up impossible readings, massive energy spikes, gravitational distortions, echoes of old battles recorded in the very fabric of space. When the first human ships crossed the rift, they saw it, a shape in the dark, shadow so vast it blotted out the stars behind it. At first it was still lifeless. Then, as the signal reached its peak, lights began to flicker across its surface. One by one, like eyes opening after a long sleep, the humans stared in awe. The aliens stared in terror. Even at this distance, they knew exactly what it was. The warship, the name they had banned for centuries, the thing they had sworn would never return. Its engines rumbled, a deep growl that rippled through the void. And for the first time in hundreds of years, the name, the word, echoed not from human throats, but from the ship itself, booming. Across every open channel in the galaxy, Captain Vance gripped the edge of his console, a fierce grin on his face. "Looks like it remembers us." Far behind them, more alien fleets were rushing to the rift. The Council had one last chance to stop humanity from awakening its greatest weapon. But every minute, more human ships arrived. There comes alive with the same unstoppable chant. The galaxy had tried to erase the name. Now it was about to hear it again, and this time, it would not be forgotten. The uncharted system was a graveyard of silence when the first alien fleet arrived. Their warships gliding into formation, like steel predators. They outnumbered the human ships 10-1. Energy shields shimmered, weapons warmed, and targeting arrays locked onto every human vessel in sight. From the Council's flagship, High Chancellor Voro watched with cold satisfaction. "End this before it spreads further," he ordered. But before the order to fire could be given, the dark shape at the center of the system stirred. The colossal warship, the one whose name had been erased from every archive, turned slowly, its hull groaning like an ancient mountain waking from slumber. Across its surface, ancient human markings blazed to life, glowing with a golden light that cut through the void. Then it spoke. The word, the forbidden name, boomed from the ship's massive speakers, shaking the hulls of every vessel. In the system, it wasn't just sound. It was a force, a vibration that reached into the bones of every living being who heard it. Humans felt their hearts pound with pride. Aliens felt their resolve falter, as if some deep buried instinct told them they were prey. On every human ship, the crew joined in. Their voices merged into one deafening chant, rising in perfect rhythm with the warship's voice. Even civilian pilots with nothing but cargo haulers joined the roar, their transmissions flooding every channel. The chant wasn't just in the system anymore, it was spreading across the galaxy, in real time, carried by every human mouth, every open come, every stolen broadcast frequency. The alien fleet fired first. Beams of searing energy lanced toward the warship, and vanished against an invisible barrier. The warship didn't return fire, not yet. Instead, panels along its sides opened, revealing colossal weapons older than the Council itself. Their cores pulsed with the same golden light as the markings. The Council's ships faltered. Some turned to flee without orders. Others froze, unable to bring themselves to fire again. It was as if the sight of the warship had broken something inside them. On the human flagship, Captain Elias Vance watched the chaos unfold. "It's not just a weapon," he said softly. "It's a memory. They're not afraid of what it can do. They're afraid of what it means that we're not weak, that we never were." The warship finally moved. With a single, precise shot from one of its ancient cannons, it crippled the Council's flagship without destroying it. The message was clear: surrender or be erased. High Chancellor Voro's voice shook as he opened a direct channel. We will sign the treaty." His masked face appeared briefly on every human ship's display before the transmission cut. The Council fleet began its retreat, scattering like leaves before a storm. The chanting did not stop. It grew louder, carried now by humans across every star system. The name was no longer forbidden. It was a symbol, a rallying cry, a promise. The warship drifted forward, passing the human fleet like a silent guardian. As it moved toward the edge of the system, its lights began to fade. Just before it vanished into the darkness, it spoke the name one last time, not as a command, but as a farewell. "Captain?" Vance watched it disappear, his chest heavy with both pride and curiosity. "It'll be back," he murmured. "Time we call, it'll come." And somewhere, deep in the quiet dark between stars, the warship went to sleep again, waiting for the day it would be needed. The Council had tried to bury its name. Now it belonged to humanity forever.